Yeah, it's real retaliation. I was just trying to roll the center and you were too wide. You had to lift more than me. Maybe if you had talent, you'd know it wasn't retaliation, but I know you're used to NASCAR E5, so you don't know anything about rolling center.
God, what is actually wrong with people? iRacing reply guy out in full force, everybody. If you are thinking about getting into sim racing, and this is the behavior you want to exhibit or be known for, find a different game to play. Hey everybody, it's Brendan, and yes, I know what you're thinking. You see a sim racer in front of a very nice microphone, and you're probably thinking, oh man, is this guy gonna speak 10 to 12 minutes about some kind of cheating scandal today? Well, that's not really the vibe I go for, but we're gonna have a little bit of a conversation here. So yes, usually you see me driving, and you probably see me drive a lot on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/BrendanHyperstar, and when I'm not getting charged at by kangaroos or driving a train full throttle down a hill, I'm doing the same thing you see here. Sim racing. So yes, today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're going to speak about the toxicity of sim racing. So if you follow me on Twitch, you know I do a lot of sim racing, and oftentimes if there's a race that's particularly notable, I will put it up here on YouTube as well. But there are many races that either due to time constraints or a lack of humor that I do not include on this channel. Basically, the rule of thumb is if I don't feel like it's good content, or if I'm just recycling something, then it usually doesn't end up on YouTube. However, this time will be slightly different. There will be a race I will be showing you that was honestly quite toxic, and it's probably one of the most toxic races I've ever been in. So I'm going to show you parts of this dumpster fire and some other notable instances as well, not because I want to, but because I want to kind of prove an overall point. But before we do any of that, I want to just take a quick step back and tell you, what is this channel about? Ultimately for me, this channel is about having fun. It's about having fun with my friends sim racing or whatever else we're doing. It is not about elevating those who are especially toxic or just very negative people. If I'm going to race and I'm streaming it on Twitch and it's especially negative, it's toxic, it brings down my mood, it brings down the mood of the chat, typically I don't bring it here to YouTube. Now, could I do this for all these and maybe get a lot of views and lots of clicks? Yeah, I probably could, because that's a tried and true method. But ultimately, I want to make the content I want to see. And this is why I don't post like full race length VODs en masse on this channel, because at some point that gets rather boring and it's not fun for me to do. I also don't want to be seen as the YouTuber, the streamer, the content creator who's just known as the guy who cashes in on some kind of drama. To me, that's kind of lazy creatively and not really something I want to do. All of our videos here are ultimately about having fun, enjoying ourselves, and not taking this too seriously. I feel that life is too short to take too seriously. Yes, you should take elements of it seriously, but I feel if you're 100% serious all the time, that's not a very fun way to live life. So let's get to the main topic at hand. Toxicity in sim racing. I would define toxicity as any of the following, but not limited to verbal abuse, harassment, accusations of cheating, and just kind of general unsportsmanlike conduct. And based on my own experiences and the experiences I've seen of other people while they're streaming, or just like where they're minding their own business while they're driving and playing the game, sim racing has a toxicity problem. By me saying that, that's not like breaking news. Like, toxicity is ubiquitous in like all of online gaming. iRacing is not alone in that. But for a game that requires you to use your own name, or at least that's what it says in the rules, you have to use your own name, unless your name is Musulman Honda B, or Admin Honda Performance, or Simulatory Uno, or Penetration Testing, you would think there'd be a lot less toxicity behind this game. But yet, it still happens. Things like this.
If you get in my way, I'm gonna fucking wreck you. I don't give a fuck. That's called racing. Y'all keep protesting this shit, which is confusing to me. If you get me, I'm gonna wreck you. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to win races. Oh my God. I'm a race car driver on iRacing, and I just want people to like me.
Listen guys, he's good at Dover, so we gotta watch out at Richmond.
Recently, there have been two great videos which I've watched, which I feel might help explain why people are quite toxic, especially in sim racing. The first is by DJ EJ, and it's titled Racecraft on iRacing is at its worst ever. And then the second video, which will probably require more of an explanation from me, like why this applies, is by Bo Albert, and it is titled My 2-Year Experience in Sim Racing Esports Full Time. Both of these videos are fantastic, and I've linked them in the description below so you can watch them. So the question of why does toxicity happen? Well, I feel like that's really easily answered. Some people are just jerks. The question of how toxicity happens, I think, is one that requires more of an examination. So amongst other reasons, I feel that a lot of toxicity caused in the game is in part caused by a lot of the unrealistic expectations of what you can make out of this game in terms of like a sim racing career. On iRacing, the path is pretty simple to becoming a pro. On the road side and the oval side, they both have Road to Pro series. On the oval side, this does include the eNASCAR Road to Pro series, which uses the trucks from the NASCAR Craftsman Truck series. DJ EJ's video notes that on iRacing, the talent pool has grown dramatically. There has been a much larger influx of members within the past 5 years or so. Therefore, this increases the level of competition and makes it a lot more difficult than it already would be to get a pro license in the game. So I cannot personally speak to what happens like in the Road to Pro series or the Pro series because, well, I'm neither of those things and I've never tried going for pro, and I know personally, even if I had the talent, I don't necessarily have the time commitment to do that. But it just so happens from time to time, I do run this little series called C Fixed, which is basically the NASCAR Craftsman Truck series with fixed setups and very short races. And because the Road to Pro series is run on the truck and C Fixed is also in the truck series, well, a lot of people are running that to gain more experience or shore up their iRating so they can make higher SOFs in the Road to Pro series. In recent seasons, and of all the videos I've had on YouTube of us doing C Fixed or doing truck series races, I really can't think of one positive experience. The driving in racecraft has been atrocious, and honestly worse for me is the amount of people who get on the mic, start arguing, and are like becoming the reply guys of sim racing. So to kind of illustrate how bad this has gotten, here are some clips from my stream of a recent C Fixed race at Pocono, which one viewer suggested I should name the replay the C Fixed Missile Crisis, and I think it's quite apropos here.
Outside. Clear outside if you want it.
That's real good, bud. That's real good.
Jesus Christ, you guys race like assholes. What is going on?
I accidentally gave the guy a light tap. He took it as retaliation, set me in a turn.
Yeah, it's real retaliation. I was just trying to roll the center and you were too wide, you had to lift more than me. Maybe if you had talent, you'd know it wasn't retaliation, but I know you're used to NASCAR E5, so you don't know anything about rolling center.
God, what is actually wrong with people? iRacing reply guy out in full force, everybody. Better not piss off Ryan.
On my nose because you're scared of me.
Oh no, a NASCAR Heat 5 comment. Oh, I'm so...
Yeah, you're the moron that's in it 4 wide of the double there, and you're getting crap talked by the guy you were hoping that would defend you.
Shut the fuck up and just race. Who gives a shit?
I know you're not aware of the sporting code, but you're really not supposed to cuss on here. I know you think you're all big time, but like, let your people just watch.
I'm not big time, bud. Trust me, I'm here to have a fun time. You're the one that's got an ego. Come up here and try to pass me, boss. Let's go.
We're right in front of it. We're behind the 2 people who are beefing the most.
Like a moron, like everyone else in this lobby does.
Some people's kids, man, grow up to be tough guy internet car racers.
Hey, Josh,
He's driving so mad right now.
Still there.
Wow, okay. Yep, okay.
Outside, clear.
Look out for number 7, guys. He's gonna go for pro one day. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Okay, wait, 7. What happened there?
Whatever the freaking guy just stopped in the middle of the racetrack and I don't
He doesn't even know.
He hit the inside wall, came up the track. And
He doesn't even know what he's referring to.
Full throttle them.
This guy's been driving with blind rage. Oh, I got DQ'd. That's unfortunate. Maybe I shouldn't have hit fucking trucks all race.
I mean, I was running with you on old tires. That's pretty embarrassing, but...
Where'd you finish again?
I had 30 seconds off of damage because I got doored by some moron that can't drive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you finished behind me. Well, better luck next time, Ryan. You got it.
Scoreboard.
Hey, what's your iRating? Hold up, let me do a little Google.
Oh, now he's doing the iRating thing.
16 car. Get
Okay.
better, buddy. I'm sorry. Later, buddy.
Is that how he got disqualified?
Okay, so you didn't remember earlier.
So to address a couple different things here from this race, you might be wondering, well, why wasn't there a video of this race to begin with? Well, I would point you back to what I don't want this channel to be. To me, it's not about finding some random person who's like raging and being toxic and cashing in on that. Also, the other factor of why I don't often put videos like this on YouTube is, well, quite honestly, I think some people want this attention. There's a reason why that vault episode of Arca Break Weekly at Atlanta was put in a vault, so to speak, for a year, because I knew exactly what they were doing and I didn't want to give them the free publicity and the free oxygen. I gave them some free helium, but nothing more, and I had to wait a year so I could do it. On the other hand, there might be many of you who are thinking, well, you should have posted that video, or you should be making a video like you are now. You should be calling out people who are doing these kinds of things and name and shame them so they can change their behavior. And they say I'm an optimist. I'm gonna tell you, I feel actually it would do the opposite. I don't think it would change anything. In some ways, they'll probably be thrilled that they're being featured. Well, if that's the way they feel, I can't really change that. But here's the one thing I can change, or that we can change together. If you are thinking about getting into sim racing, and this is the behavior you want to exhibit or be known for, find a different game to play. You might think, oh, now I'm gatekeeping sim racing. Well, no, not exactly. If we want to make sim racing better, it's not just pointing out the bad behavior, it's telling people, hey, don't do this. The players who I find are generally more toxic are the ones who have, and by saying this, I'm not trying to denigrate anybody with like the number of fake internet points you have with your iRating, but I feel like the typical range happens of toxic like drivers and players happens between like 3K iRating and 4K iRating. So this is like decently high iRating compared with like the average iRating on the oval side, which I don't know what it is, but I imagine having 3K is probably over the average iRating. These might be drivers who are like on their way up in sim racing, or they think they're on their way up in sim racing by gaining a lot of iRating in recent weeks. Now, the way the Road to Pro series is structured is essentially that anyone can enter Road to Pro. This doesn't mean you'll be in the top split in the Road to Pro series. Now, the easy availability to become a pro or try and attempt to become a pro leads everyone to naturally saying, hey, I'll give it a shot. I might be a long shot, but let's give it a go. I want to try and dedicate my time to becoming a pro in iRacing. Now, here's the sad reality. And this goes for me too. A vast majority of the player base in sim racing will never become a professional driver. They will not sign a contract with a professional esports organization or any other big team. That's just the reality. Not everyone has the it factor, so to speak. But not a lot of people can take that and understand, well, I don't quite have what it takes. So what do you see instead? Well, I was reminded something the other day, something known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias whereby people with low ability, expertise, or experience regarding a type of task or area of knowledge tend to overestimate their ability or knowledge. So from this player base doing the Road to Pro series, you're going to have some that will quite easily make it, others who will not make it, and then you'll have others who are on the fence or who think they're on the fence when it comes to the Road to Pro qualifying series. Again, naturally, it is competition, things will get heated, but when it carries over to see fixed in other series because you're trying to gain higher iRating and therefore you think you're advancing your career, that's where the problems lie. It also doesn't help that there are services or businesses that advertise and say, hey, you can get into sim racing full time and become a professional sim racing driver. This is an ad I saw on Instagram a couple months ago, and I just thought that this is emblematic of like everything that's wrong with sim racing to me. As I've said before here, and a lot of other times I've talked about this on my Twitch channel, a vast majority of people will never be full-time sim racers. The other video I wanted to discuss was by Bo Albert. Bo Albert made a video detailing his full-time professional sim racing career. In this video, Bo essentially goes over the realities of what full-time sim racing meant, including basically his daily routine and other events associated with his career. And I thought the video is very insightful just about what someone might typically go through or what it's like to be a professional sim racer, because I'm not going to become one of those. If your goal is to be a professional sim racer or be a sim racer at a very competitive level, I think you just need to understand that at the highest level, you're probably not making a significant amount of money that you couldn't earn otherwise from a full-time job. Racing in the Coke series, racing in the PESC series, racing in any world championship requires basically a full-time commitment. And Bo Albert in his video talks about the time commitment he put in just for the iRacing World Rallycross Championship. On the surface of it, to me, it doesn't sound like a very glamorous life, because most of the time, for most sim racers, it's probably not. Now, for other sim racers who might not understand this and have this behavior of win at all costs, as the racecraft video from DJ EJ talks about, there in turn leads to some of the toxic behavior when eventually your attitude on driving gets yourself wrecked, or someone wrecks you who is just as toxic and is on the same ladder you are to try and become a pro. It then creates this vicious cycle of, because a lot of these races are basically every other hour or every hour in terms of seat fixed, that's when a lot of this stuff carries over, and you enter these races like completely removed from these circles, wondering why are these races war zones and why are these people throwing shots at each other every single week. So in many ways, for me as a content creator, it's quite frustrating because I just want to have a good time. I just want to have a fun race, a clean race. If I win or if I lose, that's, irrelevant to me. Like, if I'm in a racing incident, it's a racing deal. I treat this as a sport in the sense of this is competition. When you enter a competition, some things just might not go your way, and that's sport and that's life. I know I said my intention wasn't to try and change behaviors of people who are like beyond help in that sense, but I wish they could understand and just accept it's competition and things are going to happen. I think that would make the behavior a lot better in iRacing if everybody thought that way. Oh, and by the way, even if your attitude and behavior does somehow take you to the Pro Series or the Contender Series, eventually that attitude and behavior is going to catch up to you, and there's one specific incident that a lot of people know about that kind of proves that. Now, after me saying all these things, you might be thinking, well, this is the guy who made Arc or Break Weekly, which in many ways kind of capitalized on toxicity and terrible behavior. Well, yes, to a degree, but I would also tell you Arc or Break Weekly was much more than just that. It would occur, don't get me wrong, we all saw it, but I feel why the reason it kept going despite all that was because of its wholesomeness and just good nature of a lot of the drivers who were stuck in those bottom split races who didn't want to be with the crazy toxic people either. I'm sure you could find things I've said before that are not exactly nice, but the difference for me is every time I enter a new race, I don't think about the previous race and I try not remember names. And that is to say, nobody is perfect. The problem though is, when this is happening with the same people race after race, there is a problem here. So to conclude, am I making this video to try and change the behavior of people featured in this video? No, I don't think that's possible. But if you are thinking about joining iRacing or getting into sim racing in general, this is the one thing I'll ask of you. If you have this behavior, don't carry it over into sim racing. So this is a much different video than I'm used to making. I would love to hear your comments and feedback down below, whether you enjoyed this video, if you want to see more videos like this, or if you agree or disagree with anything that I put forward here. I'm also curious to hear what was your most toxic experience in iRacing. For the record, for me, someone's threatened to throw a brick at my head, and then someone also told me to get therapy as well, which was, I'm not quite sure what to make of that, but that's what I was told. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.